Hi guys, I hope you're all well. In this video I wanted to discuss volume. Now you may have noticed within some other videos and podcasts I always discuss increasing volume over time. I usually discuss that volume is one of the biggest determining factors for influencing muscle growth. And I just want to explain a couple of nuances that people may get confused about. Now firstly, let's look at what actually volume is. So volume is basically sets times reps times loads. Basically this total amount of work you do. Now if you looked at some of my previous content, you may be under the impression that if volume is good and volume is the biggest determining factor for influencing muscle growth, I just do as much volume as I can. But the reality is, if you were to do too much volume, it would be very difficult to recover from effectively to continually make progress. So the reality is we're trying to increase volume over time, but at the same time not do too much volume that we can't recover from. As such, we're constantly trying to balance the two. Increasing volume over time, but not doing too much that you can't sufficiently recover from to make progress. So the reality, if you're consistently seeing progress at the moment with regards to strength gains, you'll be increasing volume by default, because as long as you're using the same rep ranges, so for example if you were to do say 100 kilograms for 5 sets of 5 on a squat, and then in 6 months time you're doing 120 kilograms for 5 sets of 5, volume has actually gone up by default, because volume is sets times reps times load, but because you're now doing 120 kilograms for the same reps and sets, volume is going up, which is exactly what we want. So I think people may be under an impression that increasing volume just means adding more sets, which it can do, but as I mentioned, just by getting stronger within the session you're already doing, within the same reps and sets, by default volume will be going up. The other point that's important to note is the amount of volume required will be dependent on your training age. So for example, an absolute beginner doesn't need that much volume to consistently make progress. Intermediate will require a little bit more volume, and then an advanced trainee requires even more volume to consistently make progress. The next point I want to make is volume isn't always in a linear straight line. So for example, especially if you're an advanced trainee and you're using a percentage-based program and you're fluctuating between volume and intensity blocks, acutely volume may actually go down during the intensity phase where weight goes up, number of sets goes down. But it's more about the general curve upwards in volume that's the most important factor. So don't be discouraged if your volume is more of a wiggly line. This is perfectly normal, but as long as there's a gradual increase over time, this is the most important factor. Just keep that in mind. Here's some practical applications with regards to volume. My suggestion would be to train body parts more frequently, i.e. 2 to 3 times per week, and that would therefore mean, say, a full body routine for a beginner, maybe full body 3 times per week, intermediate maybe an upper lower split 4 days a week, or a push pull lower, and as advanced you could do push pull lower day off, push pull lower day off, repeat, etc. So by training body parts more frequently, just by default allows you to increase volume more over the course of the week. So rather than, say for example, hitting chest on one day, there's only so much work you can do in a single session without the session being extremely long. But by splitting up that volume over the course of the week, that'll be my biggest suggestion on how to increase volume without actually making your sessions extremely long, is increase the frequency of training each body part. Hopefully this has been useful. In short, realize that if you're getting stronger within the rep ranges you're doing, the reps and sets you're already doing, volume will be going up by default. The amount of volume required for a beginner is completely different to an advanced trainee. Make sure you're focusing on enough volume, but not too much that you can't sufficiently recover from. And just appreciate that volume isn't always in a straight line. There may be acute drops, and it's more like a upward squiggly curve rather than a straight upward curve. But if you look back at your last 6 months training, your goals, muscle growth, as long as that volume is gradually increasing while you're still recovering appropriately, that's the most important factor. So hopefully this has been useful.